So members, I come to a passion around a woman's right to plan her family from my father, who was a country doctor in northern Vermont. And in 1967, he and his partner started one of the first Planned Parenthoods in Vermont. And this preceded Roe v. Wade. And he was raised and educated in the city, Philadelphia. And when my mother moved to Vermont, they had ideas about what a bucolic country life would look like. He was an internist and in a small town, so he did everything, including delivering children and also taking care of girls and women who were pregnant unintentionally. And he had an epiphany because he had 4 daughters. And he was shocked at the gross inequities of poor women compared to women with resources. Because women with resources plan their families by having hysterectomies after their 2nd or 3rd child. And most of them belonged to a church where even practicing birth control was a sin. And nobody wanted to be a sinner. So women with resources could get a hysterectomy. And that's how they planned their families in the 50s and 60s and 40s and into the 70s. Poor women did not have that option. They didn't have access to birth control, nor did their husbands. They practiced a rhythm method. And so you had dairy farmers' wives with 12, 14 kids with no money, nothing to offer their children. You had teenagers whose lives were completely derailed, no opportunity for a future because of an unintended pregnancy. And it's not because they were making poor choices with boyfriends. So many of them were victims of abuse from uncles, from family members. He was horrified. He had no idea. He had no idea in his entire medical training that women in this country, including his wife and his daughters, were considered public property. They did not have sovereignty over their bodies the way men did. That did not occur to him until he was in his 10th year of medical practice, and he was horrified, and so was his partner. So they started a Planned Parenthood because they believed very firmly in family planning. In family planning. And sometimes family planning involves terminating a pregnancy. And there are many reasons why a woman chooses to do that. And those circumstances are frankly none of our business. It's the business of her family. It's the business of her medical provider. So each one of his daughters, when they got to high school, he told us, he told me, and he told every one of my sisters when they turned 16, pregnancy, Edie, is not a shared experience. If you get pregnant, you are 100% pregnant. You will be 100% responsible for that child. No one is going to take the responsibility that you will feel obligated to have as a mother and as a woman in our culture and our society. You have resources available to you to protect yourself. You are 100% responsible for your body, and you have my permission to be 100% responsible. Pregnancy is an experience that you don't want to have until you're ready to have it. You do never want to make a choice about whether or not to terminate a pregnancy. So you have the opportunity to be in control, and you have my permission. I have no control over your personal life and what you do. I'd like to think that I do as a parent, but I don't. I don't have that control. But what I do have is love for you and a fierce desire to protect you. And the best thing I can do to protect you is to give you 100% permission to protect yourself. Please take that very seriously. And I have. And I think women have the right and should be given permission and should not be considered public property. Because the same forces that believe a woman's body should be legislated upon are the same people who don't believe that we deserve equal pay for equal work. The major religions of this world, and I apologize if I offend anyone, but the major religions of this world are patriarchal. Women are subjugated. Men have the power. They make all the decisions. This is centuries old. This is not unique to our country. But there is nowhere in the U.S. Constitution, in the Colorado State Constitution, in any major religious tome, does it say that women are public property. And that is a point that Representative Weitzman made this morning. And I've had talks with my colleagues on the other side of the aisle today, and one in particular who I'm very fond of, said, why we are talking over each other. And I said, yes, we are. Because I am talking about being a woman. I'm talking about women facing a medical condition that deserves the protection and the privacy of any other medical condition that is protected in this country, except for pregnancy. Pregnancy becomes an open forum. And that's because women are considered public property. If we believed that a child deserves the full protection of our society, then we better provide the funding and the resources for that, and not leave it to random nonprofit or inadequately funded CHIP or SNAP programs or lousy, subsidized, affordable housing. That is not how you take care of children. If we really cared about children, we would have done something about the thousands of children, babies, toddlers, who were separated from their parents and put into cages and sent across this country at the Mexican border. That's how much we care about children. That's how much we care about children. I'd like to see some real demonstration of how much we care about every child born in this country. So these are the origins of my interest and my passion in this subject. No pregnant woman wants to choose to terminate a pregnancy, but there are circumstances that are none of our business that lead her to that decision. And I'm standing here today in full support of this bill and in her right to privacy with herself and her healthcare provider and anyone else in her life who she shares a desire to have a conversation about her circumstance. Thank you.